Why the best roofing contractors say no to some jobs. After 20 years of installing roofs in New Jersey, I've seen homeowners hire the yes man, only to call me 2 years later when their roofs fail and their warranty is worthless. Contractors who never say no aren't protecting you. They're protecting their profit margin while your home falls apart. The roofer who says yes to installing over-rotted decking just signed your warranty death certificate. Many homeowners think skipping a deck inspection saves money. It doesn't. It builds a ticking time bomb that voids manufacturer warranties the moment an adjuster sees what's underneath. A homeowner called us 3 years after another contractor reshingled their 1990s Colonial. Water stains were spreading across the ceiling. The previous contractor had installed beautiful architectural shingles right over the decking, so deteriorated that you could push your thumb through it in 6 different spots. The insurance adjuster took one look in the attic and denied the claim. He called it pre-existing structural failure. That homeowner paid $14,000 for the original roof, then paid us $22,000 to tear it all off and rebuild the deck the way it should have been done the first time. Here's why this matters. When decking deteriorates, it loses its structural integrity. The wood fibers break down, the surface gets spongy, nails stop holding, and shingles can't seal properly because the substrate underneath them keeps flexing. A good contractor lifts a section of your existing shingles during the estimate and checks for soft spots, water damage, and rot patterns. If they find deterioration, they say no to a simple overlay. The contractor who skips the deck check isn't just risking your warranty. They're setting off a chain reaction. When the deck fails under a snow load, the insurance company investigates, finds the pre-existing rot, and denies coverage. Now you're left with a collapsed roof, no insurance payout, and a contractor who's suddenly impossible to reach. The cost stacks up fast. You paid for shingles once. The roofer who agreed to install over rot made $14,000 3 years ago. You're about to spend $35,000 to fix what they refused to address. Ask your contractor.
Will you refuse the job if you find structural issues during our inspection?
If they say, we can work around it, walk away. You want a pro who won't install over a compromised substrate and can explain their inspection process. If they're guessing on the deck, you'll pay for their mistakes. The best contractors refuse to bypass ventilation requirements even when you beg them to save the money. The contractor who said yes to skipping ridge vents just agreed to cook your shingles from the inside out while your insurance company finds a reason to deny your next claim. We often see 30-year shingles curling after just 5. The cause is almost always an attic hitting 160 degrees due to poor ventilation. Heat cooks the shingles from the inside, and because deficiencies are often excluded from coverage, manufacturers will void your warranty. Here's what you need to know. Roofing material manufacturers require a minimum ventilation ratio. The industry standard is 1 square foot of ventilation for every 150 square feet of attic space, balanced between intake and exhaust. When that ratio isn't met, heat and moisture build up. Shingles deteriorate, decking rots, insulation compresses and loses its R value. If your attic doesn't have the required intake vents at the soffits and exhaust at the ridge, they refuse to warranty the shingles. The homeowner with chronic mold in the attic or shingles that failed at year 6 doesn't have a shingle quality problem. They have a heat and moisture problem. The contractor who skips ventilation isn't just voiding your shingle warranty. They're driving up your energy bills every single month. Your air conditioning fights against attic heat all summer. When the shingles fail early from poor ventilation, the manufacturer denies the warranty claim, and you're replacing the roof at year 8 instead of year 25. That's a $17,000 expense you thought you had 17 more years to plan for. The roofer who said yes to skipping ventilation made their invoice a few $100s cheaper. You're about to spend $17,000 replacing shingles that should have lasted 2 more decades. So ask every contractor on your list.
What's your ventilation plan, and what happens if my attic doesn't meet the manufacturer's requirements?
The right answer includes attic measurements, intake and exhaust calculations, and a willingness to walk away if you refuse ventilation work. The wrong answer is, we'll make it work, or ventilation is optional. Ventilation is never optional. It's the difference between a roof that reaches its rated lifespan and one that quietly fails years early. Rot you can replace and airflow you can fix, but there's one shortcut that follows you long after the roof is finished, all the way to the day you try to sell your house. Most homeowners don't find out they're trapped by it until a buyer's inspector is standing in their attic. There's a piece of paperwork that can make your entire roof uninsurable, and contractors who skip it are handing you a problem you won't see coming. Ethical contractors refuse to pull permits in your name when the scope requires engineering review. If a roofer offers to bypass a required permit, they're handing you a legal liability. Permit requirements aren't suggestions. They protect you from insurance and title nightmares later. A homeowner called us after buying a house, only to find out the previous owner had a full roof replacement done with no permit. When they tried to file a claim after a storm, the insurance company investigated, found the unpermitted work, and rescinded coverage. Then the insurance company canceled that homeowner's policy. They lost their home insurance over a roof the previous owner installed to save $400 in permit fees. The experts agree on this one. The Angie editorial board put it plainly. Permits exist to protect you, not restrict you. And if a contractor tells you to skip one, that's a red flag. Here's why this matters. Certain roofing projects trigger permit requirements automatically. Structural modifications, load-bearing changes, work that affects how you exit the home in an emergency. When those projects get done without permits, they create legal gaps. Future buyers can't get insurance. Lenders won't approve mortgages, and the town can force you to redo it to code. A responsible contractor identifies those permit triggers during the estimate. That's the permitting assessment. If your project includes structural components, they file for the permits and refuse to proceed without approval because they know that unpermitted structural work becomes your liability the moment they leave. The contractor who skips permits isn't just creating a paperwork headache, they're setting a financial trap. When you go to sell, the buyer's inspector flags the unpermitted work. The buyer demands a credit, and the lender requires the whole situation to be corrected. Now you're paying to tear off a perfectly functional roof and reinstall it with permits, just to close the sale. Watch how the numbers grow. You paid $18,000 for the original roof, you're paying $22,000 to remove it and reinstall it properly. You're losing $12,000 in buyer credits because the sale depends on remediation. So when a contractor brings up permits, don't ask if there's a way around it. Ask what triggers the permit requirement and what happens if you proceed without one. The contractor who refuses to do unpermitted structural work is protecting you from a title defect you won't discover until you're trying to sell, when it's far too late and far too expensive to undo. Professional roofers refuse jobs outside their expertise because specialty systems require specialty training. When you call a roofer who's spent years installing asphalt shingles and ask them to install a standing seam, metal roof, or a slate system, the ones who say yes without hesitation are the ones who are only looking out for themselves. Real professionals know the limits of their training. A homeowner hired a shingle contractor to install a standing seam metal roof because the price was $3,000 cheaper than the metal specialist's quote. 6 months later, a disaster. The panels were expanding and contracting, popping fasteners because the contractor didn't understand thermal movement. The insurance company denied the claim when it leaked. Then the metal specialist charged $24,000 to remove the failed system and reinstall it correctly. Here's the key thing to understand. Specialty roofing systems require specific installation knowledge. Metal roofs need expansion joints, thermal breaks, and concealed fastening systems. Slate roofs need copper flashing, specific nail patterns, and load calculations for the added weight. Flat roofs need membrane compatibility testing, proper drainage slopes, and penetration sealing protocols. The homeowner with a leaking metal roof or broken slate tiles doesn't have a material quality problem. They have installation mistakes that nobody catches until the system fails under load. Specialty materials are expensive to begin with. When they fail due to installation errors, you're paying material costs twice, labor costs twice, and you're paying for all the damage repair costs. So when you're pricing a specialty roof system, ask every contractor the same thing.
How many of these exact systems have you installed, and can I see references for the last 3?
If they hesitate, walk away. The right answer includes a portfolio of completed specialty projects and manufacturer certifications specific to that system. Experience, you can verify, is the only protection that matters here. Knowing the right system is only half of it. The other half is giving that system the time it needs to be installed correctly. And this is where homeowners unknowingly sabotage their own roofs because the pressure they put on a contractor turns into the failure points that they pay for later. Good contractors refuse impossible timelines because rushing roof installations creates failures points you'll pay for later. The roofer who promised to install and finish your large roof tomorrow just promised to skip the flashing details, the valley sealing, and the starter strip that prevents your first wind event from peeling off $4,000 worth of shingles. A homeowner was closing on a sale in 10 days when the buyer's inspector flagged the roof. They called a contractor who promised to re-shingle the entire house and get it done tomorrow. He bought a crew, worked dawn to dusk, and finished on time. Just a few months later, the shingles were blowing off in 40-mile-per-hour winds. The valleys were leaking, and ridge caps were blowing off. We tore off the old roof and found missing underlayment, improperly nailed shingles, no drip edge, and flashing installed backwards. The total re-roof cost, $19,000. Here's what you need to know. Quality roofing installation happens in a sequence: deck inspection and repair, underlayment with proper overlap, drip edge and flashing integration, starter strip placement, shingle nailing to manufacturer's spec, valley treatment, ridge cap installation. Each step has its own cure times, inspection points, and weather dependencies. A professional contractor builds a realistic timeline around crew size, weather, and quality checkpoint. That's the project timeline assessment. And be aware of any contractor who is available tomorrow. A high-quality contractor with a good reputation should have a year-round pipeline of roofs waiting to be installed. The contractor who agrees to an impossible timeline isn't being accommodating. They're systematically eliminating quality control steps to hit your deadline. No deck inspection, improper flashing installation, improper nail patterns. Those shortcuts don't show up on day one. They show up at year 2 when your warranty claim gets denied because the adjuster finds installation defects. Here's the insight that protects you. A proper roof replacement on an average New Jersey home takes 1 to 3 days, depending on size, complexity, and weather. When a contractor quotes you 1 day on a home that should take 3 days, they're not more efficient. They're planning to skip steps. Realistic timelines include weather buffers, inspection holds, and cure times. Compressed timelines eliminate every one of those protections, and you don't find out until the roof has already failed. The question that separates contractors who protect your investment from contractors who protect their profit margin: most homeowners never ask the one question that reveals everything about a contractor's priorities. They ask about price, timeline, materials, and warranties, but the question that actually predicts whether you'll have a roof that lasts or a roof that fails is this:
Is there any scenario where you'd refuse my job?
the contractors who can afford to say no are the ones with reputations worth protecting. That's the integrity filter. When you ask a contractor what would make them refuse your job, you're not testing their flexibility. You're testing whether they value long-term performance over short-term cash. The contractor who says nothing or will make anything work just told you their reputation doesn't cost them anything. So during your next roofing estimate, ask this exact question.
Can you give me 3 examples of jobs you've refused in the past year and why you refused them?
The contractor who can't answer or gives you something vague just failed the integrity filter. The contractor who lists specific scenarios, rotted decking, inadequate ventilation, permit bypasses, impossible timelines, and systems outside their expertise has just proved their reputation means something. That's the contractor you hire. Then take it one step further and ask,
What percentage of your estimates result in you walking away?
if the answer is 0, their boundaries are just talk. If the answer is 10 to 20%, their boundaries are real. Real boundaries protect your investment. Theoretical boundaries protect their cash flow. And after 20 years on New Jersey roofs, I can tell you the contractor who's willing to walk away from the wrong job is almost always the one you can trust with the right one. When I got into this business at the age of 27, I had a 73-year-old mentor, Harry, who told me,
You want a business where you can pick and choose the jobs you take on.
I was baffled. I thought, why wouldn't I want every job? Now, years later, I know exactly what Harry was talking about. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more homeowner tips. And check out my next video where I reveal the roofing contract red flags that can cost you thousands. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.